Ladies and gentlemen, please switch your mobile devices to airplane mode. We've all heard this announcement a million times if we've ever been on a flight. The flight crew insists that all passengers turn their phones completely off. And if you want to use your phone for anything other than calls, you're allowed to, but only if you enable airplane mode. Use your phone for whatever you want. Just don't even think about making a call or turning on your mobile data. This rule is followed by thousands of airlines worldwide, and passengers listen and switch off their devices. The funny thing is, a large number of them have no idea why they're even asked to do this in the first place. So, why can't I use my phone inside a plane? In this video, we're going to answer that very question. Why are mobile phones banned on airplanes? On a plane, you're allowed to use your phone or your laptop to get some work done, watch videos, listen to music, and so on. But there's one condition. You have to enable airplane mode. And that brings us to the question we want to ask today. What's the point of airplane mode? Airplane mode is a feature on every phone now. As soon as you activate it, the phone cuts off all wireless networks and data services, starting with your cellular network, internet, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and more. And although many people use it on the ground when they just don't want to be disturbed, it was primarily created for people traveling by plane. So instead of completely turning off your phone and not being able to use it at all, you now have a feature that disconnects all networks while still letting you use your phone for other tasks. But what is the real purpose of activating airplane mode inside a plane? The first reason for prohibiting the use of mobile phones on aircraft is that they emit wireless frequencies into the air. It's very possible for these frequencies to interfere with the sensitive wireless devices inside the plane that are responsible for its operation. Not only that, but it could also cause signal interference between the aircraft and the control towers at the airport. This, in turn, could cause malfunctions in the plane or hinder the crew from completing the flight safely. The situation becomes even more critical during takeoff and landing. In these two specific phases, the pilot needs clear and precise communication with air traffic controllers, especially during emergencies. So, imagine this. The pilot is preparing for takeoff or landing, exchanging data with the control tower, and suddenly, wireless waves from the passenger cabin start jamming the navigation data being sent and received. In this case, the captain would find it extremely difficult to take off or land, and in some critical situations, might even veer off course. This is why the Federal Aviation Administration, the FAA in the United States, constantly warns against making any phone calls on board a plane because it will, one way or another, affect the flight's safety. Here a question might arise, what if I leave my phone on with the network active, but I don't make or receive any calls? Does that mean there's no impact and no danger? In reality, it's still dangerous. The fact that you aren't making calls while your phone is still connected to a network doesn't mean there won't be interference. Every moment your phone is on, it's actively searching for cellular signals around it. Your phone isn't waiting for you to use it to make a call. It's already working automatically, looking for any nearby network. And in this case, it's still very possible for its frequencies to interfere with the aircraft systems. One of the other reasons related to activating airplane mode is the attempt to protect the plane's fuel tank from exploding. To explain this better, let me remind you of the sign you see at gas stations that says, "Don't use cell phone." The reason for this sign is the concern from officials that a cell phone could cause an explosion. The electromagnetic waves emitted from a phone during a call could potentially create an electrical spark. At that moment, it could combine with the gasoline fumes and cause an explosion. Although no gas station explosion has ever been caused by a mobile phone, they are still banned as a precaution. We can apply the same logic directly to airplanes. If, for some reason, the plane's fuel tank were to leak, it's better not to have any wireless signals from phones around the tank. The chances of this happening are incredibly slim, but it's still a safety and security standard on board. One of the secondary reasons rumored to be a benefit of using airplane mode is to prevent annoyance. Whether that's preventing annoyance between passengers or between the passengers and the crew responsible for the flight. Because if it were a free-for-all, everyone would grab their phone and start chatting, the plane would become unbearable, and it would suddenly turn into a public call center. You'd find someone calling their family to reassure them they're on the plane, and someone else using the internet to create vlogs and live videos from their seat. It would be chaos. This would negatively affect the passengers in general and the flight crew in particular, who need high levels of concentration and calm to maintain the plane's safety and successfully manage the takeoff and landing. Let's ask another question. Has anyone ever used their phone on a plane before? Actually, one of the most famous incidents involved the actor Alec Baldwin. He was on a flight from Los Angeles to New York and had his phone on, playing an online game. The flight crew asked him more than once to turn off his phone and follow instructions. But he flat out refused and insisted on continuing to play. Because of this incident, the crew had to escort him off the plane and prevent him from traveling. The famous actor Alec Baldwin was kicked off a plane because he was determined to keep his phone on. One of the strange things about this topic is that a website once asked people to share their travel secrets without revealing their identities. The surprise was that a large number of people admitted to turning their phones on inside the plane and not following the rules. And despite that, the flight passes safely and no problems occur. But does this mean that using a phone's network doesn't affect the plane's safety? The answer is no. If it happens that one or two people turn on their phones on a flight and things go smoothly, it's because the amount of signal coming from their phones was minimal. But if the number of people was large and the signals were strong, it could cause a major problem for the navigation system. Although some specialists have confirmed that modern smartphones don't have the same impact as older mobile phones that cause strong frequencies and interference, they still advise exercising caution as much as possible. Using one or two phones on a plane might not be a serious issue, but if everyone on the plane has their phones on, the amount of emitted signals could be dangerous for the navigation equipment. And this is what leads airlines to ban the use of mobile phones on planes altogether. To prevent these dangers, in addition to other considerations like preventing annoyance. Not to mention the explosion topic we talked about, however unlikely it is. All of these are precautions that are taken into account. And because of them, passengers are asked to turn their phones off or switch them to airplane mode. Flying is already a somewhat scary thing, and that's when everything is working perfectly and the equipment is sound. Can you imagine what the situation would be like if for some reason your phone's network interfered with the systems controlling the plane? The situation doesn't need any extra horror. Just bear with it for these few hours. When you get off the plane, you can call all your relatives, your family, your friends, anyone you want. So now you know exactly why we have to switch to airplane mode. If you found this useful, hit like and let me know in the comments, and thank you for watching.